Hello music listeners and underground enthusiasts, where's my snare? I got no snare in my headphones. I have not stopped playing Persona 3 since I started playing it, and unfortunately I believe that's starting to have some detrimental effects to the channel, so I'll do my best to have some self-control. Another week has gone by, and that means another list of songs has been crafted by yours truly, consolidated into what I believe to be a pretty decent group of songs. I like them. You get the drill. We've been over this. It's been over a year. Let's just start. In starting this list, we have sydcxx with 7 new messages. The framing of the song is pretty interesting, and I think it does play out well because the format of the first half, the lyrics, the song represent, each line in sort of an isolated context being separate from one another, because each line comes off as a separate message that Syd is not singing or saying, but rather her quoting something that somebody else has said to her through these text messages. And the dynamic of the song later shifts and becomes a pretty somber meditation on how your health can seem from the outside looking in. Each line is pretty poignant and delivered with the most tired, gentle tone possible. Syd singing on this is top notch as well, and supported by this withdrawn and minimal guitar, it's a pretty intimate performance. And despite maybe a more melancholy sound, it has this bit of hopeful undertone as well, sort of observing both sides of how these messages could be viewed, how they could be interpreted, and what you could do with them moving forward. It's a pretty gorgeous performance and some great writing. And then up next we got Wrist from Hiraeth. Jagged and choppy melodies, metallic percussion that stutters across the beat, deep strained crooning, all characteristics that make a Hiraeth song a Hiraeth song. In my opinion, what makes Hiraeth stand out from his contemporaries and other tangentially related styles that I don't like nearly as much as this is how intentional everything sounds. At first glance, the harsh chops and brash instrumentation can seem a little chaotic. The intricacy of it is tactfully made though. It's not very reckless at all. I'm especially a fan of the sharp vocal panning and the sort of ripping percussion sound that appears intermittently in the track. Most of the sound is driven by clicks and these quick rips, like I said, in the atmosphere. There's even a big crushed drum fill about halfway through that sounds really cool. And Hiraeth feels so comfortable in the chaos as well. The deeply stylized and melodramatic performance is pretty fitting for such an exhilarating beat. And all of these choices reflect in the conflict of the lyrics, which depict the dichotomy between angry betrayal and this sort of anxious self-blame for said conflict. Great as always. And then up next we have Teenage Disaster with Epitaph, and 2 new Teenage Disaster songs a month apart from each other is not a common occurrence. There's no way that I would miss talking about this. The instrumental has a subtle creep to it, the rich and saturated guitar tone plucking along under discordant synth melodies that haunt the environment of the track. It's proper uncanny. And Teenage Disaster is a bit of a chameleon here stylistically. He has showcased a pretty impressive range across his discography and the various features that he's done with other artists. And on this song we kind of get to see a bit of that multifaceted ethos at play all in one area. The bridge of the track takes a sharp turn into this thrashy breakneck speed attack that screams across the track and then immediately transitions into a sunny acoustic hook that's about as catchy as it can be. It's a bit of a whiplash inducing progression, but it gets the job done. The writing is injected with the usual disconcerting imagery and melodrama that Teenage Disaster handles pretty well, and it's all the better for it. I only like him more and more. Sewerperson is coming off the heels of Mud with Slay the Princess, and the guitar twang that you're first greeted with carries a lot of weight on this track. It's pretty warm and inviting, yet still sounds like a soft wine in a way. And Sewerperson has only gotten better at setting the scene with his tracks by writing fantastic imagery and utilizing this flowery and romantic language and metaphor. He really took off with the concept on Elixir, and I think that since then he has continued to expand upon it, and I'm pretty happy to see that. The soft indie bounce of the song lays a somber foundation for him to pretty much do whatever he wants on the track, and the lines reflecting this concept of fantasy sound pretty great. Flesh is turned to ribbon as the guards confront the Queen of Olden. The loyalty once gifted to the king drips out of armor broken, just isn't a line you're going to get anywhere else. And Sewer's persistently tired delivery maintains a very sober mood for this track. It feels so heavy, it feels so dejected. And I do appreciate Sewerperson's apparent inability to stay in one place too long stylistically. I genuinely do believe that it benefits his art in a measurable amount. What can I say? It's a banger. Up next we got a Mugizora track with Anyone But Me. At only 1 minute and 18 seconds, Anyone But Me packs a bit of a punch, characterized by these weary, delicate vocals and this gentle guitar strumming. Mugizora's stripped back style is equal parts soft ambience and emotional devastation, and the uncertainty and self-rejection in the lyrics is only further reinforced by how bleak the song sounds, but it's still dynamic and there's warmth to be found in it, primarily in the guitar. It's intentionally rudimentary and kind of raw, but it's also very comforting in that regard. It's got a somber yet very pretty atmosphere and just enough texture to leave an impact without straying away from its subdued mentality. I love it. Psych has dropped Your Love Is Too Risky. I love how this song sounds. Psych and Taylor Morgan come together to craft the upper echelon of ethereal alt pop. Taylor's frictionless production is fueled by this infinite ambience, angelic melodies, and a pretty rumbling drone that grounds everything. It's trancy and intoxicating, and as a result, pretty easy to get lost in. And Psych's whistly and occasionally erratic delivery of these sappy and intimate lines feels just as foggy and wispy as the production. And some of the lines, which are driven by these cute and dedicated mantras of love, feel sultry in some areas, but genuinely frantic in others. And I think that the heartfelt yet occasionally desperate writing reflects how the song sounds really well. In terms of writing and in terms of sound, this is a pretty dynamic track. This was the sleeper of the week for me, actually. The more and more that I listen to it, the more I am entranced by it, the more that I enjoy it. And then to end the week, we have Webcage with Tension. This is the heavy hitter of the week with an all-star lineup of Saoirse Dream, Musa, Cannabis, and Rift. The harsh blend of jagged synth chords, oppressive electronic breakdowns, and emotionally strained vocals is a winning combination in my opinion. I really love how this song unapologetically ventures into a couple of different areas structurally and stylistically. And everyone is doing some pretty heavy lifting on the song as well. Vocally, Saoirse Dream's vocals feel heartfelt and strained, but also sort of playful in other areas, primarily the hook. And then this shift to a thrashy fusion of what's essentially punk and electronic and dubstep, and paves the way for some pretty distant screams from Musa, and Cannabis sounds very ethereal on this as well. It's pretty meticulously crafted, and it does juggle some aesthetics that they've blended together pretty seamlessly. It's a very detailed song. It's one of those songs that's difficult for me to describe. I say all the time on the music streams that the more that I like a song, the harder it is for me to say how I feel about it. I'm like, oh, I feel so strongly about this. I feel so passionately about this track that I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what to say. So yeah, I guess my biggest advice with this song would just be go listen to it. And from the top rope, it's self-promo. Is it really self-promo if it's my channel? At that point, it's just, that's a bit of a redundant phrase, right? I'm just talking about something I've made on a channel that I made. I don't know. Trying to not overthink it. I released an EP, it's only on SoundCloud, but it's an EP nonetheless. It's called Then I Saw Myself. It's got 5 songs, 1 feature, and I like it a lot. I'm very passionate about it. I'm proud of it. So, you know, I'd appreciate it if you would listen to it. I know that to many of you, I am just the YouTube music man, but hey, maybe I could also be another thing. So, you know, go listen. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's batch of songs. Did you guys like these songs? Did you guys hate these songs? Were you generally indifferent towards these songs? Have you listened to them? If not, what are you doing? Go do that. Catch me in the next video where you find out that it was all a dream.